Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leah Spears, and I am in my capstone course, EDF 692 Advanced Research in Physical Education. I did my research project on how to keep adolescent female students actively engaged in physical education. So let's dive in. I decided to explore how to keep adolescent female students actively engaged in physical education because there was a noticeable decline in participation and enthusiasm among this group during their secondary school years. PE plays a crucial role in promoting lifelong well being, and I also wanted to provide more effective lesson plans geared toward female students. So before I started my own research, I did conducted a literature review and came up with five categories that correlated to my research. Those categories were the connection between self-efficacy and physical activity, barriers, positive facilitators, the impact of low self-confidence, and inter examples of intervention strategies. The connection between self efficacy and physical activity is positive self efficacy contributes to better physical and psychological health. Self esteem has been proposed as a personal factor that influences physical activity and personal satisfaction. Barriers of building adolescent girls' self confidence and physical activity. Some barriers are body image, self perception, cultural and societal influences, and last but not least, media influences. During puberty, adolescent girls experience increase in body fat, broader hips, bigger breasts, which may generate negative feelings about their own appearance, and they tend to compare themselves to their peers and they fear judgment. However, there are some positive facilitators of adolescent girls' self confidence and physical education. Getting girls into fitness and sports at an early age can help improve their confidence and physical activity as an adolescent. A previous study showed that adolescent girls participating in sports reported reported higher body functionality related attitudes compared toward sedimentary adolescent girls. It's important to have a positive experiences in PE, developing skills and competence. So knowing how to throw and being able to explain how to throw, supportive relationships with peers and mentors, and the roles that family play in engagement and involvement in physical activity are all positive factors. The impact that low self confidence has on physical activity participation. If you have low self esteem and physical activity, it 9 times out of 10 will equate to avoiding exercises. If you're avoiding exercises, then it's less likely for you to join physical activity programs and sports, and that can lead to health issues as far as diabetes, obesity, depression, weight loss, and there are many different health issues that I will not list, but if you do your own research, that if you're not physically active, your body 9 times out of 10 will um, have. So there were many different intervention strategies that I found during my research, but the one that stuck out the most to me was the girls' active project. This is where the girls, the adolescent female students, and the PE teachers work together to come up with a lesson unit plan that was geared toward female students, and they were given the opportunity to showcase voice and empower themselves in physical education. These types of interventions potentially could promote health, gender equality, and increase of physical activity for girls. So after I did all my research and literature reviews, it was time for me to conduct my own research. So I will talk about my methods, my procedures, then my results, and my key findings from my results. So my participants, I had 20 adolescent female students that attended that attend the CAB Arts Academy. The CAB Arts Academy is a Title I school. The participants' grade levels range from fourth through eighth grade. There were 4 students each grade level. And another reason why I chose this topic was because 70% of my students are female students. Procedures. First, I sent home a consent form, and it had explicit details on how this study would be conducted. Students and guardians were allowed to opt out at any time. Students could verbally tell me in class, or parents could send in a written letter and letting me know that they would no longer be participating. A unique student identification number was given to all participants to keep their names anonymous and secret. Um, it was a 3-week study, and there were 3 different classes. One class had fourth and fifth graders, another class had sixth graders, and my third class had seventh and eighth graders in it. So I conducted a 3-week unit plan. Each lesson incorporated a variety of physical activity skills. And there were 3 ways I collected my data, which was surveys, checklists, and observations. So week one was an introspective survey was given towards the end of class, but at the beginning, we did a 20-minute activity station, which include passing and catching in football, hula hoop competition, a limbo competition, and dribbling and shooting basketballs. Initially, the participants were able to choose their own groups and stations. If 2 groups chose the same stations, they would rock, paper, scissors to see who would be able to stay at the station. Whoever lost the rock, paper, scissors would find an empty station. However, they would end up being able to go to that station because every 5 minutes they would rotate clockwise. And like I stated earlier, after they completed their 20-minute activity station, the participants were asked to fill out an introspective survey. Here is a picture of the introspective survey. And as you can see, there were 5 questions. 3 were closed-ended questions and 2 were open-ended questions. The questions were: what is your fitness level? How confident are you in your physical fitness abilities? Do you feel comfortable talking to your PE teacher about your feelings or concerns? What makes you feel confident or less confident during PE? And last but not least, overall, how much do you enjoy your PE lessons? So the second week, we had 20-minute activity. These activities included passing and catching a football, dribbling and shooting basketballs, volleying and striking with a badminton racket, and beginner and intermediate gymnastic skills. Participants were allowed to stay at a station the whole time, or they could switch and go to a different station after 5 minutes. While students were participating, I was using a checklist to record whether or not the girls were actively participating. Here is the engagement and participation checklist. The checklist contained three closed-ended questions about three specific time frames in the activities, which included the initial start time of the activities, 10 minutes into the activities, and the last 5 minutes of the activity. In the third week, same thing, 20-minute activity station. These stations included volleying and striking volleyballs, dribbling and shooting basketballs, moving while dribbling a soccer ball, and beginner and intermediate dance skills. They rotated clockwise every 5 minutes, and the teacher and I collected field notes during the activity. I was able to categorize these field notes into 5 different categories, which was engagement and participation, body language and communication, peer influence and social dynamics, teacher interaction, and clothing and physical appearance. So now that you understand the procedures that I use, now we will talk about the results of the survey, checklist, and field observation. So for the introspective survey, I for the first question, which was asking them about their fitness levels, 2 students believed that they were on a beginner level. 13 students believed that they were on an intermediate level, and 5 students believed that they were on an advanced level. Question number 2 was their confidence in their fitness ability. 1 student was extremely not confident. 0 students were somewhat not confident. 4 students were neutral. 9 students were somewhat confident. And 6 students were extremely confident in their fitness abilities. The third question was an open-ended question, but it was a yes or no pretty much type of answer. Was their comfortability talking with their PE teachers? And 18 students said yes, they feel comfortable. 2 students said no, they do not feel comfortable. Question number 4 was another open-ended question. Um, Whenever I looked at the results, it was easy to um, list 4 different factors that all of the girls named. So um, some factors of of confidence in PE. Some were unsure. So about 5 of them were unsure about what made them feel confident in PE. 7 of them said that their fitness abilities and whenever they're participating in class and doing something that they know how to do makes them feel confident. And 4 of them said their teachers, and another 4 of them said their friends all make them feel confident in PE. And last but not least, the last question was the enjoyment of PE lessons. And 14 said that they enjoy their PE lessons, and six of them said that their PE lessons are okay, and zero said that they don't like their PE lessons. So here is an introspective survey graph. So I took those findings and I put them into a graph. And the first graph is for question number one. And the results showed that 65% said that they are on an intermediate fitness level. And if you look to the right, the second um, pie graph is the second question, and you'll see that 45% of them said that they are somewhat confident in their fitness levels. If you go down to the left, that is the third question, and there's a split between 90% that feel comfortable and 10% that do not feel comfortable talking to their PE teacher. If you go to the right of that, you'll see the fourth question, and you'll see that majority of the students feel comfortable in PE classes when they play sports or activities geared toward their fitness abilities. 25% were unsure. I would like to dive deep about that to figure out why they are unsure of what made them feel confident. And last but not least, 20% of them felt that their PE teachers influenced them, and another 20% felt that their peers influenced their confidence in PE. And for the last question, it was a split between majority of the students. So that was 70% enjoy their PE lesson, and 30% feel like their PE lessons are okay, but there could be more. There could be more that they enjoyed about it. Now we're moving to our engagement and participation checklist results. So we'll focus on the positive first and talk about some things that I can work on for improvement. So first thing that stood out to me is if you look at the first column at the bottom with the fourth graders, they were physically active the entire activity. During the whole activity stations, they were active the entire time. Also, if you look at first 10 minutes, the orange box, if you look at that row, all fours are across the board. And that means that at that time frame, all students, fourth through eighth graders, were actively participating and actively engaged. Now, we will talk about some things in areas for improvement. Fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, you'll see at different time periods. Some were at the beginning, some were at the end, that the students were not actively engaged or weren't participating at all. So, want to focus and figure out why were they not, and what could push them to, so I could have four across all boards where everyone is actively participating and actively engaged into the lesson. And last but not least was observation and field notes results. So participants showed high enthusiasm during non-competitive games and fitness-based activities. So whenever they were playing, when they were in the football station, basketball stations, and the soccer stations, you could see less involvement, less enthusiasm when it came to the girls. Some avoided eye contact with me and their peers when they were participating in some of the what what we call quote unquote boyish sports, but They were so excited, having so much fun when it came to limbo, when it was when they were doing limbo competitions, when they were doing hula hoop competitions. You could really tell that they were enjoying themselves and having fun and laughing, and really wasn't worried about how others felt about them. All participants stuck with familiar friends. So when they were allowed to pick their groups, they were all, oh, I want to pick my friends and things like that. You could tell there was a fear of failure. Was a recurring theme that was from fourth all the way up to eighth graders. Um, Also, I could tell whenever I modeled and um, worked with them, they were more confident in their skills. And when it came to clothing and appearance, I heard comments about their hair. They were sweaty and they didn't want to go back to class smelling musty. So, my key findings were 60% of the participants believe that they are on an intermediate level. 90% feel confident talking with their PE teachers. 70% enjoy their PE lessons. Fourth grade participants remain physically active the entire um, during the activity stations. And 10 minutes into the activity, everyone from fourth all the way to eighth grade were actively engaged. And what I did notice was whenever I had to do the checklist and when I had to do the field observations, I was less involved and less wasn't there to um, model the skills as much. And I could tell the less interaction with the teacher led to less participation from the students. So whenever I was whenever we had the introspective survey, I was there the whole time playing with them, watching them, modeling, and monitoring them, while during the checklist and observation, I had to take time to sit down, write things out, and watch. And that led to some students sitting down, that led to students talking and not as engaged. So there were a few limitations. It was a small group of participants. I only had 20, and my school has 800 students in general. So I would like to do another study with more girls next time. Short period of observation. This was over a 3 week span. I would like to do something over maybe a semester, give them a longer time. Also, there was no post introspective survey. I realized a little late after the study was conducted, I should have did a post introspective survey. I think that would have helped with my results to see if the if their uh, results changed by the end of the study. And last but not least, potential bias due to me being the teacher and the researcher of this study. So, as I conclude, I feel that confidence in PE among adolescent girls is highly variable and influenced by social dynamics, body image concerns, perceived competence, and teacher approach, which was all stated earlier in my literature review. So I do agree with the prior research, and that competitive and body non competitive, inclusive, and body positive environments help foster great confidence. Peer encouragement and teacher sensitivity to emotional and developmental needs are key. So, as I stated earlier in the beginning, that this study was to aim to create and help promote effective PE lessons for PE teachers. So, I think it's imperative for PE teachers to create lesson plans with a variety of activities, that we also should group female students based on their interests and not their abilities. We should have lessons that incorporate um, and focus on wellness and mental health and not just sports and skills. And it's important that PE teachers model skills and provide effective feedback to their students. And overall, PE teachers have to learn how to develop an inclusive classroom where all students feel that their needs are being met. So, as I conclude, I want to open up the floor for any questions or concerns. If there are none, I appreciate you for listening, and I hope that you can find ways to keep your female students physically active, engaged in physical education. Thank you.